From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Tuesday, October 31st. I'm Augusta McDonald. From Billings to Crystal River, Florida, tributes are pouring in for Rocky Mountain football player Chandler Stallcup. The 18-year-old lost his life early Saturday morning during a late-night shooting on Poly Drive, leaving two teenagers now arrested. This morning, the mayor of Crystal River, Florida, remembering the Rocky freshman, saying, "Our prayers are with the Stallcup family. Chandler was a wonderful young man who made Crystal River proud." Stallcup's former high school also sending their thoughts, saying Chandler was an outstanding student and athlete at Crystal River High School. He was an even better young man who demonstrated a strong sense of character. A 16-year-old boy was arrested for the shooting on Sunday, and just Monday, a 17-year-old arrested in connection to the shooting. It's an incident that first started here on the 1500 block between Avenue E and F, sending several people fleeing as shots rang out. Our Jackie Coffin breaks down the latest developments from the campus of Rocky Mountain College, where friends, classmates, and teammates mourn the loss of one of their own.
The Rocky Mountain College campus is quiet Monday after a violent incident hit the Batlin Bears community hard. The loss of a freshman football player after a weekend shooting. Melted candles and flowers line the base of the iconic Bears statue at Rocky Mountain College. Remnants of a candlelight vigil held Saturday for 18-year-old Chandler Stallcup. Those tributes a stark contrast to this. Gunshots that started it all. No one was hit when shots rang out on 15th Street around 3 a.m. Saturday, but as officers were responding, it happened again. More gunfire, this time on the 900 block of Poly Drive, where the 18-year-old defensive lineman was shot.
He was someone that I looked up to on and off the field.
Taino Morales was one of Stallcup's high school teammates in Crystal River, Florida, where the 16-year-old first met Stallcup 3 years ago.
On the field, he was strong. He didn't care about what else happened. He just wanted to focus on his craft. And, off the field, just him being a family person, that kind of rubbed off on me.
And Morales is one of the many now trying to make sense of the senseless. While police have yet to release a possible motive for the shooting, two teens are now in custody. The 16-year-old who police say fired the fatal shots, and now a 17-year-old charged with deliberate homicide by accountability. A shooting that has left many struggling both here at Rocky, where sports activities remain postponed, to Crystal River, Florida, Stallcup's hometown, a community remembering the 18-year-old as a leader and friend.
Honestly, I want people to realize how talented of a young man he actually was. He was very strong. He was passionate about the sport of football, and he loved his family. He loved his family a lot.
In Billings, Jackie Coffin, MTN News.
Thank you, Jackie. Our hearts go out to the Rocky community and the Stallcup family. Rocky's president, Dr. Bob Wilmuth, told MTN they're mourning the tragic loss of this player and hope the privacy of the family and the campus can be respected at this difficult time. It's unclear right now if Rocky will play its football game this weekend in Arizona. We'll continue to follow that story. Transitioning now, we've got folks looking to head out the door this evening to maybe go trick-or-treating, Miller.
Yeah.
Good morning. Happy Halloween.
Happy
and
Halloween.
Will we need jackets under our costumes?
Absolutely. It's going to be chilly tonight. Definitely. We're looking at temperatures generally around the area in the 30s. Eastern Montana could have temperatures down into the 20s. So we'll have that full forecast for you coming up for trick-or-treating in just a bit. But right now, the moon is a-shining. Yeah, it's a chilly start out there. We're coming off it got a little warmer than we anticipated yesterday. Maybe that downslope flow kicking a little quicker, but it was still below average. Good 8 degrees below the norm for highs and lows. We hit a high of 44, overnight low getting down to about 24. Really the big story yesterday were the winds. We had a gust over 30 miles an hour clocked at the airport. Not as windy today, but still could be breezy at times. Still going to be breezy tonight when the kids are trick-or-treating, so those wind chills could be a little bit colder than what the actual temperatures are. Of course, it's been dry the last couple of days, but the moisture totals for the month and the year were in great shape. And look at those snow totals also in the plus column. Right now, as we get up and at them, we're sitting at 25 at the airport. Feels like 18. Winds out of the south at about 6 miles an hour. Temperatures across the area this morning, look at that. Still single digits on the eastern side of Montana, and that's where it's really going to be cold tonight for trick-or-treating. We'll have a look at that forecast coming up. And when's our next chance of rain and mountain snow? We'll tell you that as well coming up in just a bit.
All right, Miller, thank you so much. And we're going to update some headlines really quick. First, county officials are updating safety measures to handle increasing numbers of crashes on the far west end of town. From four-way stops to decreased speed limits, changes are being made to try and improve traffic flow as more and more people move to that area. Arlena Howder has a closer look.
This intersection at South 56th Street West and Nybauer Road looks a little different than it did just 1 week ago. There's now a four-way stop sign here, and it's one of several intersections on the far west end that's getting a facelift.
I enjoyed it though.
Elmer Spidell loves working at 48th Street West Storage on the far west end.
Because I've always liked to meet people.
But if there's one thing he could change, it's this. The intersection at 48th and Hesper Road.
Well, in the past year, I've seen at least 5 accidents on that intersection.
And it's a similar story throughout the area. More homes means more traffic, and this intersection and many others, including 56 in Nybauer and 56 in Hesper, have become hotspots for accident clusters.
Both of those intersections have a fairly high accident rate. We've gotten calls from the general public, with concerns about them, and we've had concerns too.
That's why Public Works Director Tim Miller says just last week the county changed those intersections from 2-way to 4-way stop signs. And a 4-way stop was also implemented at 48th and King.
There's one more that we're considering, and it's at the intersection of 48th Street and Hesper. So that's another one that we're looking at. We're not quite there yet, but we're probably going to go that way.
I would welcome it, yeah. It's been needed.
And it's not the only improvement the county has made to make these intersections safer. Speed limits in the area have also been reduced to 50 miles an hour, and roundabouts could soon replace the 4-way stops at 48th and King and 56th and Hesper.
It's a lot more expensive, but it moves traffic way better than a 4-way stop.
It would cost $2 million to implement a roundabout here. MDT would handle the roundabout at 48th and King.
Driver error happens all the time, but even at the roundabouts, it's not as severe crashes or more glancing blows than they are direct contact. So the accidents do happen, but there are way less injuries than on a T intersection or a square intersection.
Changes that could save lives.
I'm just glad that they're doing something about it.
In Billings, Alina Howder, MTN News.
Alina, thank you. Billings Public Schools is planning to add 3 charter school programs. We've been talking about this. While one of the 2 new state charter school laws is currently facing a legal challenge, school districts across Montana are putting together applications to start charter school programs under the second. MTN senior political reporter Jonathan Ambarian looks at one of those new proposals from East Helena Public Schools.
Under House Bill 549, state leaders gave school districts about a 1-month window to apply to set up charter schools starting next summer. East Helena school district leaders say it's a challenging timeline, but an opportunity they wanted to take advantage of.
We do have a significant number of kids who would benefit from something just a little bit different than the regular school programming, regular classroom, and this will give us an opportunity to try and create that.
All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by saying no. Motion carries.
At a special meeting Monday evening, the East Helena School Board gave approval to submit an application for a charter school with a working title of the 227 Academy. Superintendent Dan Rispin says their idea would essentially be an alternative school, serving middle and high school students at risk and students of promise. The district already has a small alternative program, but Rispin says they've seen a need for resources to make it more robust. He said creating a charter could give them the additional financial support that makes the difference.
Most of the time we're trying to make something out of nothing. Here we're getting a little bit of support from the state.
HB 549 gave school districts a first opportunity to propose new charter schools. The State Board of Public Education will determine which applications are accepted. This first year, the applications were made available at the end of September and due November 1st. That means district staff have had to work quickly to put their applications together. In future years, there's expected to be a longer application period.
We're giving it a go and giving it our best shot. Even if we get turned down, we feel like we're going to learn a lot, and that will inform us for the next opportunity that comes around to apply.
East Helena isn't the only district in Lewis and Clark County looking at submitting an application. Helena Public Schools leaders told MTN that they're looking at submitting proposals for 3 charter programs, including an expanded project for alternative learning, a Montessori charter school, and a hybrid online and in-person program. In East Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Jonathan, thank you. And in national news, Israel is ratcheting up its fight against Hamas and rebuffing calls for a ceasefire as the humanitarian crisis in Gaza grows. Israeli officials have confirmed the death of one hostage taken by Hamas more than 3 weeks ago, though a new video has given the families of other hostages some hope that other loved ones are okay. CBS News' Ian Lee is in Tel Aviv with the latest.
This morning, there's happiness for one Israeli family after Israeli soldier Ori Megadish was rescued from Gaza. She was taken hostage by Hamas during their deadly October 7th assault on multiple communities. But for the family of 23-year-old Shani Luke, there's heartbreak. Israeli officials confirmed the young German-Israeli woman's death after she was among those taken by Hamas from a music festival. Hamas also releasing a video condemned by the Israeli government as cruel propaganda. It shows 3 hostages, one criticizing Israeli leaders. Officials say it was likely filmed under duress. Family and friends of the 3 women shown are breathing a slight sigh of relief.
It's a strange feeling, okay? So we're happy that she's alive.
It all comes as Israeli forces have expanded their campaign deeper into Gaza on the ground and in the air.
The fighting has intensified since the weekend. We've heard artillery, bombs, and machine gun fire targeting Hamas in Gaza.
The current siege imposed on Gaza is collective punishment.
United Nations officials warned of the worsening humanitarian crisis in Gaza and repeated calls for more aid and a ceasefire yesterday.
Israel did not start this war. Israel did not want this war. But Israel will win this war.
But Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has dismissed those calls, saying a ceasefire will not happen. Ian Lee, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
The State Department says its last charter flight to get Americans out of Israel will leave today with no more planned due to low demand. Meanwhile, the Biden administration is sending cybersecurity officials to college campuses to help deal with the spike in anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. It comes as the FBI is investigating threats against a Jewish student center at New York's Cornell University. And of course, we've been looking at a U.S. aid package for this crisis. Work is moving forward in Congress once again as the House releases its plan to support Israel. Our Joe St. George joins us now live from D.C. with more details on this. Good morning, Joe. We've been anticipating a proposal, but what do you see as possible challenges to getting it through Congress?
Yeah, let's start with where there is agreement between Democrats and Republicans, Augusta. The agreement is on the money, and agreement is to send help. So House Republican leaders, Senate Democratic leaders, they both agree that some assistance to Israel is warranted. They both agree to the amount, around $14 billion or so. But what else is attached to the legislation is where there is some disagreement, at least right now. It'll take a few weeks, I think, for lawmakers to sort all of this out. We shouldn't necessarily be that surprised that Democrats and Republicans have some disagreements on an issue. This is what House Republicans want. Their plan, released in the last 24 hours under the new Speaker, Mike Johnson, is for $14 billion in aid to Israel to be offset by cuts to the Internal Revenue Service. You may recall the IRS received a big boom in funding, about $80 billion in the Inflation Reduction Act. Some of that was clawed back in the debt ceiling deal earlier this year. Republicans want to claw back even more of that in this Israeli aid package. Democrats, meanwhile, they say that's a non-starter in the Democratic-controlled Senate. They don't want to take away funding from the IRS because they believe that has helped improve customer service. It's resulted in more audits that in turn makes the government more money. What Senate Democrats in the White House want, Augusta, is they want a package that is much bigger, that yes, includes aid to Israel, but also helps Ukraine, also helps Taiwan, also provides some security measures for the southern border. That, so far, House Republicans do not want, because Ukraine assistance is much more controversial right now than assistance to Israel. And that is a dynamic that we're going to have to watch very carefully over the course of the coming weeks and months. Again, both sides agree on the number. They both agree on helping Israel. They both disagree on some of the other measures. Remember, Augusta, the federal government needs to get funded past November 17th, or there's another threat of a government shutdown. Look for this to be a moving target between now and mid-November as lawmakers attempt to solve an Israeli aid package disagreement, as well as a disagreement on funding the government going forward.
Joe, thank you so much for your work. We'll check back in with you soon.